Okay, so picture this. Your car's dashboard suddenly lights up with warning lights, the windows just won't work, and maybe, just maybe, it won't even start. The culprit could be a single, really confusing code, U0140. So today, we're going to demystify what that code actually means and how you can start to tackle it.
So, you've plugged in your trusty scanner. You've seen that U0140 code pop up, and you've got that lovely check engine light glaring back at you. Well, don't worry, you are in exactly the right place. Let's break down what your car is desperately trying to tell you. All right, let's get right into it. First things first, we've got to decode the U0140 error and figure out what's really going on under the hood.
At its very core, U0140 means Lost Communication with Body Control Module, or BCM for short. Now, in simple terms, that means your car's main computer has been trying to talk to another really critical computer, the BCM, but it's getting nothing back but silence.
The best way to think about it is like a dropped call or a lost Wi-Fi signal, but it's happening inside your car's own private network. A key component has just gone offline, and that's what's triggering this system-wide alert.
So what exactly is this BCM that suddenly decided to go silent? Well, let's meet the brains behind your car's body.
The body control module is basically the general manager for all the non-engine electronics in your vehicle. It handles pretty much all of the comfort and convenience features that you use every single time you drive.
And believe me, the BCM's list of responsibilities is huge. We're talking power windows, door locks, interior and exterior lights, the horn, the wipers, even the air conditioning. And crucially, it's very often tied into the car's security and immobilizer system, which is why this one error can sometimes prevent the engine from starting at all.
So how do all these parts talk to each other? Well, your car has an internal network called the CAN bus. Honestly, it works a lot like the computer network in an office. The BCM, the engine control module, the transmission control module, they all use this network to share data constantly. And when one of them suddenly stops talking, you get a U code. That U stands for network error.
Okay, so a communication error on a computer network, what does that actually look like from the driver's seat? Let's take a look at the warning signs.
And here's where it can get really, really confusing. You might see a whole Christmas tree of warning lights on your dash. Your windows might not work, or your locks could start acting possessed. The car might not even start, and sometimes you can even experience performance issues like poor acceleration. It's all because the systems that rely on the BCM for information are now completely flying blind.
So how do you even begin to track this problem down? Let's walk through a step-by-step diagnosis, and we're going to do it the smart way, starting with the easiest and most common culprits first.
So here's our game plan. We'll start with the absolute fundamentals, power and ground connections. Then we'll move to a good visual inspection of the wiring. After that, we'll try a really simple reset, before we finally start considering that the BCM itself might be the problem.
You know, the most crucial point is this. Before you ever suspect a complex computer has failed, you have to make sure it's getting the clean, stable power it needs to operate in the first place. Okay, step one is all about power. Start with your battery. Is it fully charged? Are the terminals clean and tight? Then check your fuse box. Look for any fuse related to the BCM or other computer modules, and make sure none of them are blown. And finally, trace the main ground wire to make sure it has a solid, corrosion-free connection to the car's frame.
Next up, it's time for a visual inspection. You're going to carefully trace the wiring harness that goes to the BCM. Look for any obvious signs of damage. You'd be surprised how much rodents love to chew on these wires. Check for corrosion inside the connectors, especially in areas that are prone to water leaks. A single loose connection or a wire that's been rubbing on metal, that could be the entire problem right there.
Now, before you go any further, here's a really easy thing to try. Just disconnect the negative terminal on your battery and leave it off for about 15, maybe 20 minutes. This forces a hard reboot of all the car's computer modules, including the BCM. And sometimes, a temporary little glitch can be cleared just by doing this. So if you've checked the power, the ground, and the wiring, you might start to suspect the BCM itself has failed. If you can actually locate it, give it a sniff test. Seriously. A failed electronic component often gives off a very distinct burnt smell. You might even see visible burn marks on the circuit board if you were to open it up. So after you've done all the basic checks, you're going to find yourself at a crossroads. Is this something you can actually fix yourself, or is it time to call on a professional? Let's look at how to know your limits. The line here is actually pretty clear. Checking batteries, fuses, and visually inspecting the wiring are all great DIY tasks. But the moment it comes to testing circuits with a multimeter, or using advanced scan tools, let alone actually replacing the BCM, that is firmly in the territory of a professional technician.
And this is the most important takeaway of all. A body control module is not a simple plug-and-play part. The new module has to be professionally programmed to your car's specific VIN and its options. If you just swap it out, the car likely won't start, or it'll have even more electronic problems than when you started.
You know, this U0140 code is a perfect example of how modern cars are becoming rolling computers. Problems are often about networks and software now, not just nuts and bolts. And it leaves us with a pretty big question. As this trend continues, what does it mean for the future of DIY repair? Something to think about. That's all for this explainer.